gentlemen, and welcome to Boston and APA's 2011 National Planning Conference. Let's give a warm welcome to APA President Bruce Knight, FAICP.
Fellow planners and planning groupies alike, it's great to see you here in Boston, and welcome. We're very excited for this year's conference. I think we put together a really great event. I want to take just a moment before I start and ask the members of the local host committee if they'll just stand and wave. Anybody who's a member of the local host committee, stand up, please. If you see these folks around the conference, tell them thank you. They've worked extremely hard to put this all together. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a really critical time in our profession. And at this critical time, planners are hard at work in communities large and small, laying the foundation for economic recovery and global competitiveness. In my role as APA president, I've spent much of the last 2 years traveling around to communities across the country, and I've seen firsthand the serious economic challenges that are confronting many towns and neighborhoods. From rising foreclosures to vacant properties to lost employment centers and weakened tax bases. All of this at a time of rising citizen need for services. And all too often, I've also seen serious cuts in planning investment in these same communities. This disinvestment comes at the worst possible moment. Good planning is absolutely essential to the economic recovery and long-term prosperity of our communities. Good plans ensure that we are investing our limited resources in smarter, more efficient ways that provide the foundation for stronger local economies and our more competitive and resilient communities. I firmly believe that the places that invest in good planning today are the places that will be best positioned for growth going forward. After all, the planning process provides clear strategies for to efficiently achieve the outcomes that our citizens want, such as good jobs, choices in where we live and work, and how we travel, safe neighborhoods, and affordable housing in a clean environment. The communities that invest in planning, whether they are big or small, will recover first from the Great Recession because they are the ones that will be prepared to reinvest and reinvent themselves and take advantage of new opportunities. So why then is the planning movement losing ground? Why are planning department budgets being cut before other budgets? And why are serious efforts to improve our communities being tarnished by anti-government sentiment? Got a little quiz for you this morning. What do these things have in common? A major earthquake and tsunami in Japan. Concerns about increasing gas prices and over-reliance on foreign oil. A shift in housing demand from suburban to urban. Issues of fiscal sustainability in our communities. Failing infrastructure across the nation. Massive demographic shifts as our boomers age. The implications of climate change in our communities. And Charlie Sheen's psychological makeup. All right, I was just checking to see if you were paying attention. What these things have in common, of course, not the last one, is that they're all issues that require a planning solution. In my view, never in history has there been a greater need for planning in our communities and regions across the nation. So, of course, that means that planners have never been in higher demand. There's a shortage of planning jobs and planners to fill all those high-paying jobs that exist because of the great awareness of how planners and planning process can solve our problems. Okay, well, maybe not, but why not? Why is planning not included as politicians talk about core services that they need to protect in spite of budget cuts? And worse yet, why is planning under attack as some kind of anti-American activity? I personally believe there's 3 reasons for this. The first has to do with redefining our profession. How are we viewed? As visionary agents of change that are helping our communities move forward to a better future, or as regulating bureaucrats preventing people from using the property the way they want to? Unfortunately, I believe in the public eye that the latter is more the way we're viewed than the former. We need to reestablish our profession as being about more than regulating development. We need to refocus on our role of helping our communities set a vision for the future and guiding them successfully to achieving that vision. Second, we need to tell our story. In my 30-some years as a planner, and especially over the last 2 years as I've traveled to numerous chapter conferences and met planners around the country, it's become evident that we have not done a good job of telling our story. I've met so many planners that are doing amazing work in their communities under the constant threat of having their budget slashed, but we're still a relatively unknown profession. I teach a land use planning workshop every fall at the University of Illinois, and on the first day of class, I always ask my students how they came to find out about planning. For 99.9% of them, they found it accidentally. How many times have each of you been asked what an urban planner does, or better yet, a planner, what are you planning? The American planning movement started in 1909. We're 102 years old. It's time we get the recognition we deserve. Third, we need to focus on our outcomes. This, of course, is a corollary to number two. The public does not care about our wonderful process or our beautiful plans. All they care about is what difference it makes to them. What are the outcomes of the process and plans that make their lives better? One of the favorite things that I've ever worked on during my tenure in APA leadership is chairing the task force that put together the Great Places in America program. Why in my 15 years of APA leadership is that my favorite? Because this program does a better job of telling the story of positive outcomes of plans than anything we've ever done. It is a planner's travelogue, the places we all stop, take pictures, and take those pictures back to show our community how planning can make a difference. What my kids used to refer to as Planner's Day on Vacation. We all need to be able to identify our own great places, the places in our community that are better because of our work, but also to recognize, much like the movie It's a Wonderful Life, that we should be able to also demonstrate how all the small gains that we've brought to our community over the years, if stripped away, would make them much poorer places. So how do we change this? How do we finally establish planning and the process of planning at the epicenter of those core services that get protected when the budget cuts come? First and foremost, we need to tell our story clearly, consistently, and strategically. APA provides tools and support to help you do that, but the most effective place to fight this battle is in your home community. We need to improve our ability and commitment to effectively communicating about the work that we do. We must move from being viewed as regulators to being viewed as visionary agents of change who are the facilitators of great communities. We need to make it clear that planning is a core service needed to ensure success in every community. But to get to that point, we need to tell our story loudly and clearly. APA supports these efforts through our materials provided for the National Community Planning Month event in October, as well as our Planner's Communication Guide, which is free to all our members on the website. We're looking to update that as well to provide even better messages in these difficult political times. Second, we need to recognize that it's all about outcomes and learning to tell the story of our outcomes. The Great Places in America program provides not only a model, but a catalog of examples of wonderful places that we can point to that resulted from good planning. I always like to say that people want progress, but they fear and therefore resist change. Showing great examples of our work can help our citizens overcome their fear of change to accept the progress that our communities need. Better yet, think about ways that you can create a program or a strategy in your community to tell your story and the outcomes of the planning that you've done. Finally, we need to develop ourselves as leaders, foot soldiers advancing the planning movement in our communities. This may surprise you, but I'm a firm believer that planning is a key component to making the places we live, work, and play more livable, that by anticipating the future, we can make it better. Okay, well, it probably doesn't surprise you, but I also believe that unless we step up, assert our leadership, and learn to communicate the added value that we bring, and learn to work together effectively with the other design professions, we will be less successful than we can be otherwise. Planners are passionate about making our communities better. We're the foot soldiers advancing livabilities in our communities. We may not always accomplish all the things we set out to, but if all the small gains we achieved were taken away, our communities would not be the places that they are today. I firmly believe that our services are needed and that now is the time for planners to step up, provide a vision for a better future, and help our citizens build better places. APA is committed to providing the tools and support to do that. It's truly been my honor to represent you as your president for the last 2 years. I thank you for the incredible work that you're all doing towards creating communities of lasting value. And I challenge you to step forward and lead the planning movement and to tell your story more effectively. Thank you very much.